And we finally conclude the list with my 10 favorite matches of the year. My 10 favorite matches of the year were here. What's up, guys? It's me, the ALE XX Prince. My throat is hurting because I just went through all these matches from 100 through 11. Now it's time for the top 10. If you're wondering for the honorable mentions, of course, there's part 5, 4, 3, 2, and this is, of course, one of my favorite matches of the year. These were the matches that basically made me love wrestling, made me have fun with wrestling. It was just a good time for wrestling. And shockingly, the first time I ever did this was in 2015, and I remember it was like a bunch of New Japan Pro Wrestling matches, like 2 or 3 NXT, 2 WWE, and yeah, I remember it. It was like 2 NXT, 2 WWE, and the rest were New Japan matches. Last year it was a bunch of 4 NXT. It was like it was like a good variety of it was a good variety of matches, and from different companies such as Lucha Underground, NXT, WWE. Of course, we had a handful of New Japan matches, and I believe we had one ROH match. The Young Bucks, the Edition, and the Motor City Machine Guns made it up there. But yeah, this time, majority of my matches have the same wrestlers and the same company, that being New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 New Japan Pro Wrestling matches. 2 WWE from the main roster. 1 NXT. 1 ROH and 1 Lucha Underground. So overall, pretty good variety. But the fact that, New Japan this year is just amazing, and you'll see why when I get to the matches that you guys have been anticipating for me to talk about at this point. But let's just stop rambling and get to the list. Coming in at number 10, we had Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe in the main event of WWE SummerSlam. Honestly, the best Fatal 4-Way I've seen in a while. Just 4 great men just beating the shit out of each other. Proof that, even the big men that people hate can have just a great match just as much as smaller dudes and shit. Brock and Braun definitely continued their feud here. Samoa Joe got injured, and Roman Reigns was the one that got pinned, shockingly. But yeah, this was just a good match to sit through. Braun Strowman throwing a big ass chair, the announce chair, putting Brock Lesnar through 2 tables and just being a dominant badass. And Roman Reigns again looking strong. Samoa Joe, everybody here looked strong. Even when Brock left and came back, he just murdered everybody. It was just awesome to watch. At number 9, we have Killshot versus Dante Fox from Lucha Underground's Ultima Lucha 3. The best match of Lucha Underground's history. Not just like freaking since it's begun. Since it's begun, this has been the best match Lucha Underground has had. Just a very underrated feud. A feud that honestly was like an afterthought. It was a great feud, but no one thought like, oh, this is gonna be a great match. But you can't top the other matches that are announced. Hell no, these guys murdered each other. Like, legitimately murdered the fuck out of each other. Killshot going through glass, Dante Fox falling, from deep down into glass, both bleeding like hell. And eventually Killshot wins, putting him through an ambulance. And then the fact that they end up teaming up with the Mac and teaming up and winning those tag belts, the trios tag belts, it's just insane. It was choreographed, but it looked fucking painful to be choreographed. damn, like I would be fucking scared to do this match. And hell, like these men are just fucking badasses after this. I got nothing but respect for these two guys. I already like these guys, but this is like a whole nother level. Proof that these guys could have easily been the main event of Ultima Lucha 3, and no one would disagree with you. At number 8, the best match of WrestleMania weekend, the Young Bucks beating the Broken Hardy Boys. Delete. The reason why this match is so good for me is because it was just such a nostalgia for me seeing the Hardy Boys in ladder matches against the Young Bucks or the Bucks of Youth and that honor ring, however he said it. But yes, they put over the Young Bucks and eventually they go to WrestleMania. But holy shit, with the fact that these guys were the best match of the WrestleMania weekend. Usually an NXT match steals the weekend. Every once in a while, WrestleMania itself steals the weekend. But hardly ROH will steal the weekend at WrestleMania. And they did. And it was a great match. Thankfully, they put it in the main event because we were curious, are the Hardy Boys going to WWE or not? And the fact that they lost, well, holy shit, the Hardys are going to WWE. They end up making their debut the next night at WrestleMania, or their re-debut, whatever you want to say, come back, and it was just incredible. I love the Broken Hardys. Now that they're woken, I'm glad to see that, and hopefully 2018 is a much better year for both Jeff and Matt. I mean, I don't blame the guys that got injured, or Jeff got injured. Matt has been trying to get this lawsuit because TNA, for some reason, is still alive as a business, which is stupid, but, I mean, what can you do? Number 7, Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito from the G1 Climax Tournament Finals. Either man could have won and I would have been happy. Last year, they had one of the best matches of the year, and this was no different. Not as great, because at that point, you did not know what to expect. This one was a little bit like, okay, I already know who they are. I can't wait to see this match. This match was still phenomenal and outstanding. And the fact that Naito just being a cocky heel, and honestly, Naito has been on a roll. I can't tell you guys more. This was like the year for Tetsuya Naito. Honestly, now that I think about it, he might have had a better year than Kenny Omega. Just as far as, as far as popularity goes, obviously Kenny Omega, but Tetsuya Naito, as far as a wrestling standpoint, he's up there with Okada as best wrestler of the year. Well, all three of those men. And yeah, I had a great time watching this match, and it was just great. And when Tetsuya Naito won, I thought he was going to throw that trophy to the crowd. That would have been insane, but I'm pretty sure they would have gotten a lawsuit for that. But yeah, this was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed it. At number 6, from NXT TakeOver Chicago, the only NXT match, and people will hardly count this as an NXT match, but Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne for the UK belt. Basically, the rematch, Pete Dunne wants that belt. Tyler Bate just being the outstanding guy he is. They had to bring in JR and Nigel McGuinness to commentate just because of how good this match was. Eventually, they were going to have their own TV show, but it didn't work out. The deal didn't work out for some reason. But yeah, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate just had great matches. Had a great match. I can't wait for the rematch. I'm guessing they're gonna have it soon, because technically Tyler Bate has a guaranteed rematch clause. Pete Dunne just being an outstanding heel, the bruiserweight. You can't forget that. And I just had a great time watching this match. 14 minutes. And not a single moment is wasted, and that's saying a lot. So good job for both these men. These next set of matches are 5 stars. Just letting you out there. My top 5 matches are all 5-star matches. All New Japan Pro Wrestling matches and 1 WWE match, and you could probably guess which one is for the WWE since I haven't mentioned it yet. But number 5 for me was the finale of the trilogy of the greatest trilogy of all time as far as wrestling goes. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega from New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 27 Day 18. Yeah, this wasn't for the belt, but it was one of those questions of can Kenny Omega beat Kazuchika Okada? He just needed to hit his finisher, and then he would have won it. And they kept playing that story off, and he ends up hitting the finisher, and Kenny Omega actually pins Kazuchika Okada clean. And this is a perfect way to make both men look strong. I just had a blast watching this match. Great way to culminate this feud. It was just an alright, great match. Obviously, the weakest out of the three. Everybody will tell you this is the weakest out of their trilogy, but you can't deny this is not a 5-star classic. It was just an amazing match. At number 4, Kazuchika Okada makes the list once again against Katsuyori Shibata from Sakura Genesis. Now, originally, I'm like, okay, Kazuchika Okada, Katsuyori Shibata, they're going to have a good match. They did not expect an outstanding match. Sadly enough, this might be the last match of Katsuyori Shibata's career. I know he had a lot of little matches, but they were tag team matches. But there's a part where Katsuyori Shibata just hit Okada with his head and broke his fucking skull. He was bleeding. It was scary. And the fact that the match was as great as it was just an insane match. And honestly, this is one of those matches where thank you for giving me a great match, but be careful when you actually wrestle. This is why wrestling, it's not. That's why a lot of people get injured because they try so hard to entertain the fans that they're not realizing how to choreograph their matches and, not like literally killing each other. So just be careful, and I guarantee you we're still good to go. Number 3. From WWE, the Royal Rumble, AJ Styles versus John Cena. I mean, what do you expect? The two biggest names ever. Finally, John Cena beats AJ Styles, and for the first time, John Cena felt like the underdog. I mean, granted, I was disappointed with the title run just for the fact that he drops it in 2 weeks later, which made no sense for Styles to lose it anyways. If Styles would have won, maybe this could have easily been number 2. No way number 1 is going to be topped. But yeah, Cena and Styles had a great feud, great match. Basically, Styles pinning Cena 3 times, both Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and then No Mercy in that triple threat with them two and Ambrose. But yeah, John Cena finally figured out how to beat AJ Styles, and the feud was incredible. Basically, AJ Styles being mad of him being thrown to the side even though he's the champion, and then John Cena literally says like, yeah, because I'm not in the indies. Yeah, you had one great year, but I've carried this company for a decade. And then he's like, you're not the guy from Atlanta. You're just a guy. Holy shit. Deep down, I wanted to see John Cena turn heel. I'm pretty sure we were going to get it if he were to face The Undertaker, but eventually plans were scrapped and that didn't happen. So, I mean, what more do you expect? But at least we got a great match out of Styles and Cena. You can't deny that. The fact that these two men never got out of the ring. They were always inside the ring, just going all out. They even played off their SummerSlam match. Yeah, it worked. Every single bit about this match worked, except, of course, the victory. I would have given the match to AJ Styles the victory, and honestly, it would have helped out a lot better down the road. At number 2, Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega from New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion. I was debating between this and number 1. This could have easily been number 1, but it wasn't. This just was crazy. Kenny Omega gets a chance to try to fight Kazuchika Okada and try to beat him once again, and he was close, but then they went to an hour draw. Rarely do matches go an hour, and I'm like blessed to see it. Rarely do I like it, but they pulled it off. The story was told great. It broke Dave Meltzer's record to 6.5 stars. I even made a video. It's good because usually I just talk about NXT, Lucha Underground, and WWE. This match definitely made me start talking about New Japan. I even made a video right before I was gonna go graduate. Yeah, they just did it, and I was happy that they did it. That they just had a great match, and honestly, this is the best way to say congratulations, Alex, for graduating. You gotta watch this match. This is definitely a good thank you for me. And yeah, this definitely pulled off a great story. This is my second favorite match of the year. But nothing would have ever topped my number one pick. You guys already guessed it. You guys know what it is. It's Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom 11. The first match. Because this was the beginning of something new. This was going to put New Japan Pro Wrestling on the market. People knew who Kenny Omega was, but they heard his name once he hit this match. Him and Okada blew the fucking house and just had, honestly, not one of the greatest matches of the year. It is the greatest match of the year, of course. But this is going to go down as one of the greatest matches of all time. No doubt about it. Both men have had amazing matches in the past, but this is one of those matches where you think to yourself, this is going to go up there with the likes of Michaels and Taker, Stone Cold and The Rock, or Stone Cold and Bret Hart, freaking AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. This was just a masterpiece. And the fact that we had 2 more matches afterwards was great. And this was at the beginning of the year. Usually Wrestle Kingdom or New Japan Pro Wrestling in general have their best matches at Wrestle Kingdom, and this was no different. I loved this match from bell to bell. I thought Kenny Omega was going to win just because of how over he was. But then Kazuchika Okada won, and I was pissed. One, because the match was over and Okada won. But then I thought about it. This is going to lead to rematches. And those matches might top it, but nothing can ever top this. And you cannot tell me that this match didn't blow your mind when you saw it the first time. This is by far the greatest fucking match of the year. No doubt about it. Both these men became big names after this. Kazuchika Okada finally became the guy. He was the number one guy in 2017. Kenny Omega, runner-up. I mean, Kenny Omega was already big by attacking AJ Styles, becoming the leader of the Bullet Club, just having a great year in 2016 and then bringing it back here in 2017. We all thought this was going to be his year, but the fact that Okada finally had his year, and it might be over once he hopefully loses to Tetsuya Naito, because I want to see Naito lose. Look at what they're doing now. Kazuchika Okada's taking on the most over heel maybe ever in the modern day of wrestling, Tetsuya Naito, again. And Kenny Omega is having the biggest dream matches of all time against Chris Jericho in a no DQ match. This match made New Japan what it is today, what people are talking about. And you can't deny that this is not the best match of the year. A lot of people will tell you this is the best match of the year. People will argue Dominion. People will argue the first match. People will argue multiple matches. But majority of the audience and people will say this was the number one match of the year. And it's definitely my number one match of the year. I was so hyped when I saw this match. Honestly, you can't go wrong with Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega. Anyways, that is it. I hope you guys had fun watching these top 100 matches of the year from 100 to number 1. Watch the other parts if you haven't already. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. A couple more videos coming up soon. The Q&A, of course, that's going to air either on Christmas or Christmas Eve, depending on my attitude or mood. It's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already.